Excellent. So, as you can tell, I just got back from the Mortal Kombat reboot. I mean, the long-awaited had had new film franchise, which was previously adapted in 1995 and 1997, but not like this. I mean, this new outing by Simon McCoy is indeed the gleefully gory and hard R her reboot that fans have been waiting for. I mean, I watched the opening scene multiple times to get ready for this, and so let's get started. So, after an opening scene, 17th century Japan, which features his future Scorpion, Hanzo Azashi, played by Hiroyuki Sanada, and future Sub-Zero by Han, Joe Taslim, him. The story mainly follows Cole Young, played by Louis Tan of AMC's Into the Badlands, which some people I was waiting in line with to get my tickets. I get noticed. I mean, I haven't seen that show yet, but I've heard it's very good. I mean, so that's actually a pretty good fit. I mean, even as seeming OC viewpoint characters go, Helpsy does no martial arts, and unlike, say, Mia Jovovich's support as roles in Resident Evil and now Monster Hunter, which actually end up overshadowing game characters, Cole, for all his faults, actually does fit in the world of the story, and is not entirely the OCV1 character we initially led to believe. I'm not going to say why right now. That going to my spoiler review in May, but he joins a cast of other characters in the games, including Goro, Sonya Blade, Jax Briggs, Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Raiden, and they're fighting against for Earthrealm against Shang Tsung, as well as his champions, which include Melina, who I guess is before she gets her usual purple outfits. It's but those mandibles are still as nasty as ever. And also Goro is full on CG now. And the CG in this movie definitely shows how many advances we've had in the last 26 years. The less I say about the 97 film in this review, the better. Yeah. So, even with the admittedly spotty track record video game movies have had, where for every one that's actually relatively good, like Detective Pikachu and Sonic, we've had dozens of ones that have been and terrible but even in the early stages, the first Mortal Kombat was actually pretty decent, because even though it didn't have fatalities in that one, as a concept it held water, which is basically at its core a martial arts tournament film with some fantasy elements to it, and this one follows a similar structure, but this time Simon goes all out with fatalities, many of which are accurate to the games, such as Kano's heart rip, and also it was quite gleeful just seeing like Sub-Zero's those ice weapons, and the blood knife is canon in the games, and it uses elements from most of the main installments, and it helps that much like Detective Pikachu and Sonic, they set the same personal universes of games, but even if you're not familiar with them, it helps if you are, but you could understand, and that's at the core are the concepts of of someone wanting revenge for the death of their family or trying to prove themselves a fighter. And not just someone who's just doing throwing cage fights for cash either. Or since it also looks really good for a relatively modest $50 million budget, which I know I mentioned those other two a lot in this video, but it's about one third of Detective Pikachu or two thirds of Sonic the Hedgehog, which allowed the filmmakers to be relatively laissez-faire here with the suits, and they are setting up for a sequel. And depending on what happens, and it should be easier to make its money back. Because I know other ones, and I certainly hope that they can keep this up. Because it certainly was a fun experience, and definitely say that that if you're not interested in this, then you need not apply. And if you are, like I've been, you know exactly what you're in for. So it's easily the best adaptation, not only of the series on film so far, but also any Midway game. Which, given the dire quality of the second film as well as Rampage, it's a pretty low bar to clear. So I give this movie a gleefully bloody 3 out of 4, and I have a brief riff and some coming attractions. Yeah. Wrath of Man still looks kind of meh. I would expect this kind of stuff if it was one of Jason Statham's DTV movies, but I expect more when he's working with Guy Ritchie, who has done good work with in the past, especially on The Bank Job, which is one of his better early films, was when he was really trying to find his niche. It's nothing I can't wait for to come out on VOD. Much like, again, Cruella. I'm not sure what to expect from this one. It looks alright, but at that same time, I'm not really on the place to say it might not work. I'm still kind of weirded out by hi Emma Stone's accent, but I'm open to the idea of a another live action take on the material with her as a villain protagonist. Basically, it's like Disney saw how popular Joker was, as well as the DC version of Harley Quinn, which I'll come back to in a moment, and to themselves, yes, we'd like some of that too, please. Here's me as I want to do, and I'll just deal with all this that comes. Much like everything else. On that note, Furious 9, which is coming out June 25th, after being delayed. I pointed out before I thought this would actually not be that bad. Because it was previously going to be a year after the initial delay. But now it's going to be, and then it was going to be Memorial Day, but now, yeah, it was going to be last year before everything happened. And it's been 20 years, and it's going to be a surprisingly resilient franchise, all things considered, especially after its shift away from being purely street racing focused to being more of vehicular heist films in the vein of Bullet or Defense Connection. And in an interesting way, Paul Walker, bless his soul, became like this generation's Steve McQueen. And in some respects, I'm also John Cena as Dom's long lost brother, although could be interesting to see. And while how Charlize Theron's and Pixie Bob is somehow more ridiculous than the Dredge had in the last movie, looking almost like a bleach blonde of Mo Howard. I mean, Howard, so Howard, but I can definitely tell that much like previous parents just having fun with their role. I mean, half all his faults. Since and I mean, and last but definitely not least, the Suicide Squad in August. Has to mean the sequel and soft reboot of the Suicide Squad series, which, despite all the bad press, as the first film did make quite a bit of money, and even may not be my favorite DCU film, I had fun watching it, and gonna look at the extended edition before this one comes out, which I have. But much like the theatrical one, it was like a darkly comic fever dream, and between this and Birds of Prey, they seem to be really doubling down on the bizarre absurdity. Where you don't have to have big names like Harley Quinn on the docket, or even reasonable, really well-known ones like Amanda Waller, but you have completely absurd ones like the Polka Dot Man and Peacekeeper. And what sold me was inclusion of King Shark and Starro. I mean, hey, there's something I cannot say no to about a starfish the size of a kaiju, and a shark and board short that sounds like it's just alone, man. Oh man, and even though the behind the scenes stuff is kind of cray cray, I'm glad we were able to at least complete principal photography before everything happened. And then there was just like finishing the visual effects mostly. And I'm definitely eager to see what Gunn can do at the helm before he goes back to Marvel Volume 3. Who better to direct DC Guardians of the Galaxy than the man who directed Guardians of the Galaxy, you know? I mean, I know by August I'll have had my second dose and have gotten complete hate, and because I'm gonna be probably taking it a bit easier in May depending on what happens. I know I have plenty of other content planned. Uncle stuff I've been wanting to get off the ground for a while now, so it's also why I don't mind that they push back Black Widow again until July. And because even with that one also being on Premier Access paywall on Disney Plus, that actually quadrupled its opening weekend prospects, and at least I could still think maybe I'm still want to do my Pixar marathon, but now given the current things keep changing, I'm still gonna keep rating, but I'm gonna bump it until after her Luca comes out on streaming, since Onward managed to find the audience that way, and Soul ended up being my favorite film of the year last year. Which I mentioned that was before. So anyway, that's all I have to say for now. And tomorrow I'll have my look at finale Falcon and Soldier season 1. So take care.